internationally.
I feel like I need to get a job at a call center for a month just to learn all this.
They would, well, then I'm telling you. So there's also like, that's how I learned about like proration of bills and stuff like that, because you have to explain that to the plebes that don't know. You know, you're 19, you're like, listen here, 45-year-old sir, I'm gonna prorate the fuck out of your bill, and you're gonna be pissed, but it's gonna be fine next month. So that's like how I learned about proration and stuff like that. He's dying.
Did you get any kickback on that? So, like, I'm fascinated, right? Because you turn into a salesperson, and it's crazy to me still that, like, you're at the point where you could upsell somebody right there, right? Like, you're going to help somebody spend all the time. Did you get any type of kickback, commission, anything?
Not for sales. There was this is where part of my contention began with the company, was that when it started, it was just customer service. We were customer care. Like, that's what we were doing. And so you could get bonused out depending on your metrics, right? And that's how they grade you in the agency. That's how they rank you within the building. Based on, I think it was 7 or maybe 9 different metrics. That was like your handle time, how long you were on the phone call, how many calls you took per day, how many callbacks you had, how many people returned, like how many escalations you had, and how many people called in after they spoke to you. And so that's called like a return call or something like that. So you get graded on all of these things. And they put out this report every day and also every week and every month, so you can see where you are in the rankings of the building. And everything that happened, your scheduling, your holiday schedule, your everything was based on these rankings. So you could bonus out if your metrics were high enough.
That means like you get a bonus.
Yes.
Okay.
One time I got a bonus, but I got a bonus of $1,100 because I was top 50 in that center of 400 agents or something like that. So I did bonus out one time. I qualified for bonuses over half of the months that I worked there, but there were all of these stipulations of handle time was a big or ACW fucking no, what was it? Aux abuse, that's what it was, because you had to put a code in your phone depending on what you were doing. If you're going to go to lunch, you have to put a code in your phone for lunch. If you're going to go on your break, you have to put a code in your phone for break. If you're going to go back on phones, you got to put another code in your phone. So one of your metrics was aux abuse if you were in the wrong code. So if you got to take a shit in the middle of your scheduled work time, you have to go on break because that's the only thing there, but you're not authorized for a break, so you're in the wrong code. You're in aux abuse. So those minutes
you got penalized for going to the bathroom at the wrong time.
And you're not, if it's not in your designated break time, yes. And so that's one of your metrics is your aux abuse. So they count up those minutes and ratio that to how many minutes you should have been working that week, and that's what your percentage of aux abuse was. Is how much time you were in the wrong code. So I have IBS. It took me 3 years to find out I had IBS, and it started at this call center. It took me 6 months to get a doctor's note that said that they would accept, that said that I needed extra time in the bathroom. And even then, it still kind of counted towards my aux abuse because it was just additional break time that they gave me. So I didn't bonus out most of those months because I had IBS, and my aux abuse was high enough that I was not eligible for bonuses that I was entitled to. So once it progressed, then they start saying, well, at the end of every call, we need you to ask if the person is satisfied with your service. Well, this person just screamed at me and told me they hope that I die. I'm not going to ask them if they were satisfied with my service because they obviously were not. So then you
got to go through that whole trauma again.
And if they said no, then you had to ask them why. And if they didn't want to deal with you, then you had to escalate it, which again, you get dinged for. You get dinged for escalating to a higher agent. So if you ask the question and you get a no, then you're going to get a ding for it. So why the fuck would I ask you in the first place? So that started happening. And then they introduced a new plan that they trained us for like 30 minutes on and then released it the next day and expected us to sell it, actively sell it to people to try and convert them. And I'm sitting there like, this is not a sales job. I did not start this job to sell items. That's not why I got this job here. This is a customer service job. This is not sales. So am I going to receive any type of compensation for however many family plans I switch people over to? No. Then why am I doing this? Why am I trying to incentivize people to switch to a plan that may or may not benefit them if I'm not going to receive any kickback for it at all? Because this is what the company is doing. They were trying to downsize different departments, so they were combining different departments into customer service, and also actively taking abilities away from us.
Yeah.
So like we couldn't swap people's phones anymore. If you got a new phone, you have to do it yourself online. And if you call me to do it, which I could do a week ago when you got your daughter a new phone, I can't do it now. And I have to press you to do it online, self-service. But if you give me enough shit, then I can do it myself, or I can escalate the call to my manager who they can do it. And that's how this started to be towards the end of working there. And I was like, I can't anymore because this doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to do these things, and I'm not getting bonuses because I'm missing one metric when I'm in green for all the rest of them and in the top 50 agents at age 19.
So I got so many things running through my head right now, but
Exactly.
the top two
It was a crazy place.
I got to give this one to Larry, the godfather of this. I mean, you were a cog doing cog shit, and you decided you didn't want to do it anymore. Those people are just cogs in a machine.
I took a job for 25 cents more an hour to get the fuck out of that building.
Yeah. Now, the other thing, I'm going to take a hard right turn on this one.
Let's hear it.
A left turn. You remember, oh, man, it must have been about 2 or 3 years ago. It must have been about 2 years ago when the 1619 project was first coming out, right?
Yes.
The collection of essays.
Yes.
One of the essays that I had read, I remember very well, and it was talking about essentially the analytics and statistics that were developed during the slave period,
Right.
And it was like it's the same type of ultra minute statistical shit that let them calculate how much this person was worth based off of, how many minutes does this, how many loads of this, how many blah, 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 blah. It's the same. And then they tie that whole thing back to white supremacy, and that's why America's white supremacy. But the concept was really about like this dehumanization of labor.
Yes.
And that's, you go work at a call center like that, you are literally just a cog in a machine. You are a number, you're a robot to them that is meant to do a specific task. And every millisecond you take not fulfilling that task, you get dinged for in some fashion.
Right. And
and it's so disgusting.
And the darkest
so dehumanizing
part of that is that it incentivizes you to be cold and quick on the phone. It incentivizes you to be a bad person on the phone, a bad customer service agent, because if you take time and you're gentle with people and you explain everything to them, then your handle time is going to be high. The amount of time you spend on a phone call is going to be high. But if you are quick and you get the job done, then it'll be low. And that's one of the things they weigh you the highest on. So
by the way, William Wallace is hooking you up. He we were talking about like what kills more people, cold or hot. He sent me an article from wunderground.com. And it's a long article, and there's nothing like popping out at me, so I'll have to read it. So but I'm going to send it to you, and we can come to a conclusion because Noah's doing research on this shit. There's charts and graphs.
And so
Oklahoma,
the people that would take their time and explain things to people, like I said, would get a higher handle time, and you would get dinged for it. If you spend too long on a call, your manager is hitting you up in the Slack channel telling you need to hurry up. Like they're instant messaging you, telling you need to be quicker. When you're trying to understand what someone's problem is and trying to help them do your job, but you're going to get penalized for that. Your supervisor is going to get penalized for it. Their supervisor is going to get penalized for it. And if it's long enough, then you're going to get brought into the manager's office to listen to your phone call and talk about the different ways that you could have sped it up.
Oh, so that's what they mean by like this call could be maybe recorded for training purposes.
And
so that we can take the guy that you're going to call and then grill him afterwards for not being a machine.
They used to tell us in whatever the group, it was like an email server almost like a blog, because they could post things in there, and they would tell us like Sprint is listening, and they would tell you from this time to this time, Sprint people will be listening, not just the contractors, not Concentrix people, but Sprint people. So you need to be doing your absolute best. And so they would pull you, especially during those times, if you didn't do the right things,
Made us look like shit in front of the client.
And like I said, these metrics control everything. And so if you are a middle-aged mom who is working there to try and make ends meet or help out with the other side of the mortgage, right? Or do whatever the fuck you're doing. You're trying to make money. You are going to obviously be nicer to people because you're a fucking mom on the whole, right? In generalities. You're going to be nice to people. You're going to want to help people more. You're going to want to take more time with people. So those people would also get shittier pulls for shift bids on holidays. So it is going to be Christmas, and we're open because we're open 365 days a year, but you are a middling agent, so you have a middle pick for schedule. So if you were a top agent, you got whatever shift you wanted that day, and that's how it was ranked out. So I used to pick an early shift, an early shift, and then try and give it to somebody who I knew had a family because they probably weren't going to get it. I would ask people, what shift did you get for Thanksgiving? Oh, I'm working fucking, 12 to 8 that day. Mm-hmm. I got 4 to 12. Take this one. I'll take that one. You have a family. I have motherfuckers at home. It's no big deal. I was doing it all the time because it was, even at 19, I knew that the way this was being decided was not correct. This is not right. That people who have 1 child, 2 child, 3, 4 children are being forced to work because they're trying to take more time and do their best job. But to them, the best is not. I used to. So when I first started there, I was like on drugs and shit. So I was like hammered out, getting really good. And then I had figured it out. And so I would get on the phone and tell people. Because another thing was dead air. You got ranked on dead air, right? Was another metric of how much silent time there was on the phone. Every 10 seconds, you need to be checking back in with somebody. You can only have someone on hold for 30 seconds. And you need to come back on the phone and say, I'm just going to put you back on hold real quick just to let you know I'm still working on your problem. Every 30 seconds, we were expected to take someone off hold and then put them back on hold. For why? Why? For me to stop and tell you I'm still... That we were expected.
I would literally scream. I would just be like, fix the problem.
Yep. And so I used to tell people, I would get on the phone, ask them what their problem was, and so I'm going to be quiet for a couple minutes. I'm not hanging up. I'm just letting you know I'm being quiet so I can just get your problem done and handled with. So I used to get called out all the time. You got a lot of dead air. You have 3 minutes of dead air here. Yeah, but the call was 4.5 minutes long because as soon as I was done, I told them this and this and this. Do you have anything else that you need? No, that was fantastic. Thank you. Okay, have a good day. Done. So what the fuck is the problem? Why does it matter if they don't want to talk to me? They're not calling to ask me about my day. They don't want me to ask me about their day. They're not calling to have a conversation. They want this specific thing fixed, and they want to get the fuck on with their day. Why do I need to chat with them?
Yeah.
Why?
Turn the tables.
They don't want that. So I used to continuously would be brought into the manager's office. Why'd you have so much dead air? I think that it's obvious why I had so much dead air here. Because the call was actually 4 minutes long. Why the fuck do I need to talk to them the whole time? You can hear them. They don't want that. Yeah. They said, oh, thank you very much. That sounds great. As soon as I said what I'm going to do, said, thank you, that sounds great. Why the fuck would I continue to talk to them?
But the analytics don't look as good.
But I would get dinged on it because Sprint was listening. And Sprint doesn't want you to have dead air on your call. You need to be talking every 10 seconds. Even if you're just saying,
trees, man.
Even if you're just saying, no problem, I'm just still working on your problem. That's just to update you, I'm still working. No shit. Obviously. What the fuck else am I doing?
Imagine that and something else, like the plumber's coming over to your house and they're underneath your sink, and then every minute they get up like, hey, I just want to let you know I'm still working on this.
Shut up. Get the job done.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you. Just do the thing that you can.
So that's how it was all the time. So people who were not naturally charismatic or did not like to talk to people, I don't love to talk to people, but I'm charismatic. I don't have an issue with it. It's very easy to me. It comes very simply to me. I don't have any problem shutting you down if you're being an asshole. I had no problem with any of that stuff. But again, if you're a middle-aged mother, that's not your personality. If you're anybody and that's not your personality, you're not going to succeed at that job like I did. Yeah. But that shouldn't dictate whether or not you get time with your family on fucking Christmas. There was a lot about that very corporate structure that seemed so morally wrong. Just not even like, this is weird. Morally wrong that you are subjecting people to not spend time with their family because they don't meet the arbitrary metrics that don't actually decide whether or not they're a good employee here. It's so fucking weird that that's how people can run businesses, In some instances, it's very effective. In some instances, it's not. And customer service on cell phones is not one of those areas where it's very effective.
It's actually the worst. I can't believe we went down this whole. I can't describe to you how much I hate it.
And that's why.
Been screaming. Yeah, everywhere it described makes perfect sense, and it's so ass backwards that it's crazy. And I see companies now like paying their customer service people so much to provide a white glove service, and it's so important. Like I can't tell you how much, especially me. Like if you're nice to me, I'll just spend more money just to reinforce what I think is a great habit. So every time I'm there, and they have such a monopoly, they don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's when the service part of customer service gets removed, and you're supposed to be a machine solving a problem. And this reminds me of this amazing meme I found today that somebody shared on Twitter. I'm going to see if you could see it, Larry. Maybe. Not really.
No, I can't see it very well.
So what it is, it's called the Trinity of Wholesomeness. And it's a picture of Bob Ross,
Huge.
Mr. Rogers and Steve
I'll
Irwin.
take it.
And it says, Bob Ross is be kind to yourself. Mr. Rogers is be kind to other people. And Steve Irwin is be kind to animals. The call center sounds like the complete polar opposite of that kind of wholesomeness, which is ironic because the entire concept of customer service is that your customer leaves satisfied.
Right.
It's not that they got the problem fixed. It's how the problem was fixed.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat everything.